Ladies and gentlemen, continuing this symposium on structural heart disease, I request Dr. Nageshwar Rao to kindly come over and give his talk on VSD closure, ventricular septal defect closure retrograde method. Dr. Nageshwar Rao.
I am requested to give a talk on ventricular septal device closure, a new method called retrograde transcatheter closure. This particular study or part of this thing was not supported by any industry or any funding agency. So if you look at the conventional antegrade method, there are various steps: crossing of the ventricular septal defect and snaring of the wire, and advancing the sheath, positioning the sheath, and deployment of the device. You can have problems at various levels, because every step involves a lot of technicality and which needs a lot of skill job. So negotiating sheath may sometimes difficult in case of intramuscular, postmuscular, apical muscular VSDs. You have to go either jugular or femoral based on the anatomy. Some of the worst cases, if you look at, this is the AV looping. This is the AV looping. You can see the wire is going to the aorta, left ventricle, snaring, right ventricle, too much of stress on the heart leading to the hemodynamic instability. So hence we came with an idea of a procedure called retrograde transcatheter closure of the ventricular septal defect. This is the animation form. You can see normally what we do is we puncture the femoral artery with a 6 French or 5 French sheath based on the device which we selected. And we developed a new delivery system. This is a 6 French right coronary guiding catheter with a Y-connector system. And the delivery catheter usually introduced through the sheath so that we can minimize the damage of the artery. Otherwise, in a conventional method, you have to put a bigger sheath if you want to do antegrade with a delivery sheath of 8 French, 9 French and all. Once you have done that, you advance the guiding catheter with the glide wire inside. Usually it is O35 angulated glide wire or O32 angulated glide wire, and advance into and pull back from the apex towards the ventricular septum. Usually this hydrophilic wire which slips off goes along with the flow of the left to right shunt. So that's what the mechanism yesterday I had demonstrated, and over that you try to advance the guiding catheter as much as possible either into right ventricle or into the right ventricular outflow tract or pulmonary artery. So based on the angiogram and echocardiographic assessment, you take the device which is appropriate for that defect and then try to open the device, place the device within the right ventricle away from the moderator band or tricuspid wall operator system, and subsequently central vist and the left ventricular disc. So that's what the simplicity of the procedure. And these are the various devices commercially which are available. You can see the eccentric device, muscular device, and now the new toy called ADO2, Amplatzer Duct Occluder 2nd generation, which is a very low profile device which has got a central vist of around 4 to 6 millimeter length or 3, 4, 5, 6 diameters which are available. The retention disc here is around 12 millimeters on either side. So that is the one which is actually going to anchor to the membranous septum or membranous septum with aneurysmal tissue. So probably the advantages of this method: this is a single operator procedure and simple and less fluoroscopic time. There is no hemodynamic instability or easy manipulation, and it can be repeated in same patient within a short time, and can be performed in smaller babies as small as 7 months and 5 kg, less than 5 kilogram babies. So this is a typical case of muscular ventricular septal defect. You can see here a pigtail catheter LV angio in a standard LVO injection showed a muscular, mid-muscular VSD here. This baby has had recurrent respiratory infections and heart failure. So you can see here the guiding catheter is in the ascending aorta at the sinotubular junction, and the glide wire, thermoglide wire, angulated one, is facing towards the ventricular septum, and then subsequently getting advanced into the right ventricle and to the pulmonary artery. So we advance the delivery guiding catheter over the guide wire. When you have a muscular VST of this kind, some amount of tortuosity of the catheter is inevitable, and sometimes you may anticipate the instability of the catheters. Hence, we sometimes keep an additional O14 Galileo extra support wire or roadrunner wire, whatever available, is called as buddy wire technique, which is described. Actually, one of our colleagues suggested this. So you can advance the device and straight. We can, under echo, transthoracic echo guidance, we can manage to deploy the devices most of the times. We need not to do transesophageal echocardiogram in small babies. I believe that transthoracic echocardiogram is fairly good to profile the ventricular septum. So once you are confirmed, then you can advance the cable little bit further from the sheath so that LV disc can be deployed. This is very important because when you are deploying the membranous location, if you withdraw the device, you may deploy at the aortic wall level. Hence, it is important to push the cable rather than actually pushing the delivery catheter. So once you deploy, you can see the angiographic result. Most of the times you get this, you can totally the shunt is disappeared. So closure of the muscular device in small babies is fairly simple. You can see the echocardiographic pictures here, and there is no shunt, and the device looks, the central wrist is positioned across the ventricular septum on either side of the disc. Membranous VSTs, it's a complex anatomy. You always will have some amount of membranoseptal aneurysm. It's important to incorporate the membranoseptal aneurysm within the device. So what we need to do here is you deploy the device in the RV, you release the device in the RV and pull gradually the membranoseptal aneurysm towards the ventricular septum and then release the LV disc so that total membranoseptal aneurysmal tissue will be incorporated within that sac. So you can see here sometimes a membranoseptal aneurysm can have multiple perforations or tricuspid wall regurgitation. Indirect LV to RA shunts are very common with these kind of tissues. So it is important to choose an appropriate fenestration, appropriate opening to go through that so that multiple openings can be incorporated into this membranoseptal aneurysmal tissue. So just showing you a couple of examples here of membranoseptal aneurysm. These are all septal aneurysm which is pulled gradually and closed with a single device. Rarely when you have multiple jets like this, it's very difficult to close with a single device. Sometimes we may end up doing multiple devices also. So here you can see a single device is used. And we classified the membranoseptal aneurysm into 4 categories. Probably you can go through that. It's a complex tissue of the aneurysm which can have multiple openings and a tunnel-shaped aneurysm, various aneurysms. So it's easy to identify by the echocardiogram, but fenestrations may be in different planes. So usually angiogram will show you the multiple fenestrations like this. So one fenestration here, another opening here. So if you want to close with one device, probably it is not possible in this kind of cases. You have to put one device here, another device there. So that's a one device deployment. So still there is a residual leak from here. So residual leak, the other residual leak can be easily tackled with another device, crossing the superior defect with the another glide wire and advancing the another device released in the right ventricle. And you can see the final result with the 2 tandem devices in the membranoseptal aneurysm where significant left-right shunt. And the final result is there is no significant residual shunt. So limitations of the retrograde method, the device size is available only 6 millimeter, hence we can close the 6 to 7 millimeters maximum. And the membranous VST with no rim cannot be closed because the device may interfere with the aortic wall system. It needs a little bit of modification of the delivery system. We are working with 2 different companies. and deployment properties and catheter-induced aortic regurgitation are very important. So, positioning of the guiding catheter is important in this particular setting. Guiding catheter sometimes which may come out easily with each cardiac beat, hence we had to put either sometimes a body wire or our assistant should closely hold it. So, closing of the membranoseptal aneurysm, it's very important. So, most of the membranous aneurysm should be pulled as much as possible close to the interventricular septum so that you can incorporate most of the perforations through that. It's a low profile device, hence it is very important to handle the device very carefully. If you pull the device will come out even if through the smallest fenestration, smallest opening. So it's very important to position the device rather than actually pulling and tugging against the septum. So normally the conventional method ventricular septal defect device closure is the mechanism is the stenting of the ventricular septum. Here you are not stenting the ventricular septum, you are just only positioning the device and then we are doing. Sometimes aortic wall interference, you can see the device here as close as possible to the aortic wall, but it is not recommended to keep like that. Sometimes I don't know the long-term results of that, and sometimes we may encounter that aortic wall regurgitation. We had 2 cases of aortic wall regurgitation, small trivial aortic wall regurgitation. So this is a muscular VST. You can see the ventricular septal defect with a thick ventricular septum. So you won't be able to deploy a 4 millimeter length device in this particular case. Probably you have to go a bigger length that is available as 6 millimeter length here. So we use a 6 millimeter length, and most of the times you will see a little bit of left to right shunt immediately. Usually it subsides in 1 to 2 hours time. So inappropriate length, sometimes if you put a bigger length, it may cause LVOTO or projection into LVOT. That is usually, we don't need that kind of scenario. So appropriate size length is very important, and appropriate size of the device also is important, because membranoseptal aneurysm, often you underestimate the size of the defect. Here it is, actually we underestimated as 4 millimeter, actually it was 6 millimeter. We had to use a 4 millimeter device, and device immediately embolized. We had to retrieve it. Retrieval is very, very easy in this particular case. It comes through low French sheaths, hence you can put a 6 or 7 French guiding catheters and then retrieve. So these are our early results which are published in Cath Cardiovascular early this year. We have done on 11 children with various ADO2 retrogradely. These are the various steps, and success rate was 100% in this. Right now we have done around 77 cases of ventricular septal device closures. From 2004 onwards, we have done on 116 children and adults, of which you can see eccentric device, muscular device, amplage duct occluder, first generation. Now we are actually doing a lot of second generation devices, of which 61 are membranous, 16 are muscular, and we have performed on less than 1 year, less than 5 kilograms, and mean fluoroscopy time is 11 minutes plus minus 8.5 minutes. As low as 4 minutes anticipated in most of the cases. In terms of complications, conduction disturbances, this is a very important question, and we did not anticipate, we did not see any of the complete heart block in these children with the mean follow-up of almost like 1.8 to 2 years. One child had junctional ectopic tachycardia, which is subsided within short time. So to conclude, retrograde transcatheter closure of selected cases of hemodynamically significant small ventricular septal defect using ADO2 is simple, technically feasible, and fluoroscopy time-wise also it is very small. Thank you very much.
Excellent. I think we're all amazed at the ease with which you make it look very easy. Just an interesting observation. Why do you call it retrograde method? I think it looks more physiological. Left to right shunt, no left to right crossed.
No,
this should be the original method.
I agree with that, but in the literature, wherever you call, whenever you go through the vein, it is called as antegrade. Whenever you go through the artery, it is called as retrograde.
So more physiological.
I think we should congratulate Nagesh Rao for that. He has timed it also perfectly well, because any conference nowadays, because he has pioneered the technique, he is asked to speak on this topic. So he's become expert on that, and this technique also shows that there's a good cooperation between coronary intervention people and devices, some good things could come out like this, because the change thing is the right coronary guide catheter, and the wire which is used is again coronary wires which help in this procedure. Okay, Nageshwara, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.